really nice on the paper. But when the light strikes this beautiful pen, the light strikes it so that it's vertical. The vertical light. And I have been a little quiet recently. Those are the what we call dips, I suppose, when you're talking about mental health. So I've been in a little bit of a funk recently, but I have still been enjoying my pens and my inks, especially because journaling really helps with stabilizing my mood. And having said that, I do want to share one of my most recent purchases. Now, if you don't know yet, if you're new here, my name is Kikay, and I am obsessed with flex nibs, like fountain pens in general, but flex nibs especially. And I have been trying to sort of make up my mind whether I wanted to get a Montblanc flex nib, because it is quite pricey. It's a little expensive, and I do have a lot of lovely vintage flex nibs, and so I was thinking, is it worth it? And obviously I decided it was. And so thank you very much, Tita from Montblanc, Indonesia. I have a beautiful piece to share with you all. If you've been on my Instagram, you see that I've been posting a lot about this, and so I thought it would be time to have a little bit of an unboxing and a sharing of what exactly is the Meisterstück Calligraphy Solitaire Special Edition. So this one comes in a lovely burgundy box. It's been, would I say, like 3 years since this was released. It was released very late 2021, early 2022. So the box kind of looks a little banged up, but it is fine. One interesting thing about this is that when you look at the packaging, where is that? Oh, here. It will say that you have a curved nib. Now, I was a little bit concerned about this, but I've been reading in a few posts from Reddit that this is like something that they did with this particular packaging. Although you're getting a flex nib, it is written as a curved nib here. Even here it says Solitaire Calligraphy Year 2 curved nib Legrand fountain pen, but right here it says flexible, and it is gold. And we will now see exactly how it looks inside. So it comes in this pretty box with this lovely gold foil, and when you open it up, there we go. You have the Montblanc box and some literature. And in this literature, of course, you get the usual service guide, which has a lot of the information you need, including the serial number for your pen. But it also has this, which is a lovely piece of literature just showing you how to use what they call the expression nib. There are a lot of calligraphy nibs, and so they're called the expression nibs. And here they tell you that this nib emphasizes the expression of your handwriting, and it talks a little bit about it. Your handwriting has the potential for great expressive beauty. Follow these instructions to reveal a new dimension to your script and to ensure that you can continue to enjoy your Meisterstück expression nib for many years to come. All type of expressions are possible thanks to our breakthrough flexible nib. And here it shows you how to practice with it, where you need to glide feather light, like barely touching the paper, and when you want to put a little bit of pressure. And here it just shows you a few basic letters and how to write it that way. And in this part, it tells you how it looks without pressure and how it looks with pressure. And it says with pressure is downstroke only. And right here it tells you what to avoid. Avoid having the feed touch the paper, and avoid too much pressure because it separates the tines and creates what's called railroading. So these are two things you shouldn't be doing. And then there's nothing else really on this card. Okay, and then you get this sort of leatherette case, and when you open it up, you are supposed to see your pen. This is how it looks. This is how the case looks, and it has a false bottom, so when you open it up, there is space. And if you don't know yet, when you flip that bit up, you will see that now, instead of just one space to put your pen, you now have nice little space to put 2 pens or 2 whatever other thing you want to put there. So that was an interesting thing about Montblanc boxes. Now, if you're wondering where the pen is, I've actually been using it because I do want to share with you how the pen writes and how the pen feels. So what we're going to do right now is I'll go ahead and do a very quick size comparison with a few other pens, and then I will show you a writing sample. And as I do that, I'll be sharing a little bit of the history or interesting bits of information about it. I'm taking out a few pens from the Galen leather case, which I use for a lot of my pen transportation storage, because it's very nice. All right, so let's start with the pen itself. So the Montblanc Calligraphy Special Edition is a very beautiful pen, and it is based off the Meisterstück 146 dimensions. It's quite heavy, and yeah, it's just very pretty. Some of you might call this the bullet shape for fountain pens because it's nice and tapered at the ends. It doesn't have like the flat ends. Then you have the top finial of it, which basically has your Montblanc emblem with black resin, and the bottom one is just a simple dome. And then you'll see that it has this like pale gold. It's called champagne gold. One interesting thing about this particular model, and Montblanc, if you're watching, or any other expert or knowledgeable person out there, if you're watching, I am a bit interested and curious as to why this color, which is a nice pale, yeah, I'd say champagne gold, is slightly different from the one at the lip of the band. So if you unscrew it, it's a screw cap, just so you see. See, the one in the cap is a bit paler than the other champagne gold trim. Okay, let me just move forward. You'll see the trim here in the top part of the cap. You'll see the champagne gold at the clip, and it's a very nice clip. It is a little tight, but it's not hard to slip it through whatever pen slips you need it for. Then it has Montblanc right there at the clip lip, and then you have this champagne gold end. It's a piston fill, so you screw it and unscrew it to get ink in. When you remove the cap, you will find a very pretty nib. I'm gonna scoot you in because it is a very, very pretty nib. Instead of just the Montblanc usual etchings on it, you will see the calligraphy 8s on it, and then you'll see 4810 and Montblanc at the bottom. Then you have your champagne gold, and then the thread for the screw cap. Now, the real beauty of this, I mean, all of that is really, like, they're all really beautiful, but one thing that I super like about this pen is the finish on the barrel, if you can see that. It is such a beautiful finish. I don't know, the light doesn't seem to give the color much justice, but this sort of translucent finish to it is called, and as you know, I have this lovely little notebook where I have all that information. It's called, where is that information? Okay, it's called the Burgundy Translucent Degrade Lacquer. Right there, were my notes. Okay, and it's basically a new sort of, well, newish that time, 2021, 2022, but to be fair, I haven't really seen it in a lot of pens. And it is supposed to be a new lacquering gradient technique applied to brushed metal. And by brushed metal, I don't know, let me scoot you in. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see it, but if you look through the lacquer, you will see that there's a brushed metal finish right underneath, and the brushed metal finish goes horizontal, but when the light strikes this beautiful pen, the light strikes it so that it's vertical. The vertical light, I think you can see the shine, but that brushed metal underneath, I hope you can see it through the translucency, because I think it is beautiful. I think it creates a very interesting transition with the pen. Okay, and that is this pretty pen. Now, I am so glad that I didn't get this pen that I've been looking at a few months ago that has basically the same color combination. I've always been fascinated with red and gold together, and I thought it was very pretty, but I was a bit hesitant because I don't know, I'm not really into a few types of nibs, and that one was a type I wasn't really into, and so I'm so glad that I waited a bit and that I was introduced to this because, okay, so I was looking for a flex Montblanc. Let me just rest it here for a second as I ramble a little bit and I prepare the other pens. So I was looking for a flex nib, definitely, and I was thinking about getting a Montblanc flex, definitely. And there is another version of this. It's in black resin and it is at a lower price point, but I went into a discussion with Bluetastic Pens. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, and she told me that if it would be like black crescent and this other pen that I was looking at, she said, well, have you looked into the Solitaire Burgundy? And she introduced me to it, and then I did my little bit of research, and I was so glad that the Montblanc boutique here, hello Dita, had this in their stock. Now, why am I a little bit surprised? It's an old model, so of course you would assume that it's been sold out, and a lot of the nice special edition, limited edition pens have been sold out here in Indonesia. But also that this particular one is a little hard to find. There are rumors going around that it is not just a special edition, but a limited edition, and that there are only like 800 of these flex pens produced. That's a rumor. It's not in the website. I'm just sharing it with you. Oh yeah, before I forget, for this particular model design, there is a standard a standard nib version and a flex nib version. All right, so I'm just sharing that information. The flex nib is also an 18K nib, and I didn't know how I felt about that because I read that the 14K nibs are easier to manage, and so when I show a writing sample of this, I'll also be sharing comparing it with a 14K flex nib. So let's just put that aside so I can put up a tray of pens for a very informal, really quick, casual sort of pen comparison. So I'm sharing with you a few pens that are a bit more common in collections, just so you have something to compare in terms of size and maybe a little bit of weight. Okay, let's put these in as well. Okay, so this is a Montblanc Writer's Edition, RLS. This is a LOI Furore. This is Leonardo Furore, and this is the very beautiful Monteverde Ritma Espresso. Ooh, this is a lovely one too with all the glow. Then you have your Lamy. This is the Lamy Marron. This is a Platinum 3776, a Sailor Pro Gear, the Montblanc Bohème, and our very cute and pretty Kaveco. This one is in ruby red. So in terms of length, I would say that, okay, it's a bit taller than that. Okay, so let's just remove this because we already know it's going to be a little different from the Bohème. But in terms of length capped, it is about, it's longer than a lot of these pens. Okay, so if you have a 146, it's comparable to the 146 because it's based off that model. But if you don't, then I will tell you it's definitely longer than a Leonardo Furore, a Monteverde Ritma, longer than your Lamy, longer than your Platinum 3776, your Sailor Pro Gear, definitely longer than your Kaveco. So this is how it looks lengthwise. Now, just to compare, without the cap, I won't be uncapping everything, just maybe this. So you can see this is the Writer's Edition. And this is the Burgundy Calligraphy Solitaire. I think I'm saying that backwards, of Montblanc. Okay, and this is your Leonardo Furore and your Ritma. Okay, let's just put that all up. And maybe your Montblanc, I mean your Lamy. Okay, so uncapped, I'd say that it is shorter than all of these long pens, just out of curiosity. Let's get this one out. Okay, it's longer than your Platinum 3776 and longer than your Sailor Pro Gear. So that's how it looks in comparison. And let's see how it fares when this is posted. Oh, posted with your Kaveco posted, it's going to be longer than your Calligraphy unposted, and I do not want to post this pen. It's quite nice already without posting it, especially with my hands, and so that's how it looks in comparison with other pens uncapped and with the Kaveco posted. Okay, just so you kind of know, it's definitely heavier than most of these pens, I suppose. Let's just have a very super highly scientific weight comparison. It's a tad, no, it's heavier than your Monteverde Ritma. Definitely heavier than all the other pens that you see here, except, yeah, even heavier than the Writer's Edition. Yeah. Okay, very, very scientific. All right, and so that's how they all, look when you compare their length uncapped. Okay, now as I put all of these together again, I do want to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the Meisterstück Calligraphy Solitaire Burgundy Lacquer. Okay, so the color, well, this particular collection with all the different nibs is inspired by the Japanese art of calligraphy, and this particular color, this nice red burgundy color, is a nod to the Japanese inspiration of this particular experience. And also a few other points about this model is, number one, it's a glutton for ink. So I've already filled it, what, 3 times or 4 times since I last got it, and that it prefers wet ink. So I have tried it with the Montblanc, which one was that? The brown Montblanc, oh, Around the World in 80 Days Montblanc. I've tried it with that. And that ink, I found out because of this, runs a little dry. And that didn't really suit this pen well. Luckily though, let me just put that aside 1 second. Okay, hold up. I'm trying to find samples for you to check. So going back to this little project I have, I just want to share it with you. Where is it? Yeah, I think this is it. This is when I used it, and it felt quite dry actually. Yeah, it felt quite dry to use with this pen. This is the Around the World in 80 Days brown. And so when this dried up, and it dried up quite quickly because I did tell you it is such a glutton for ink, I switched it with this, which turned out to be a lovely ink for this. This is the Antoine de Saint-Exupéry Encore du Dessert. Okay, do not kill me with my pronunciation. And this is a lovely sort of red purple sort of burgundy, and it comes in this box. It's a very pretty one, and it is a slightly wetter ink, and it paired very well with this nib. It's still inked with that. So my first inking was with the Around the World, a little dry, and then I've inked it thrice already with this ink, and every time it has been such a beautiful experience. Okay, so on the Meisterstück paper, you see all that sort of burgundy red ones, that's from here. It is a very well behaved ink, and if you can see the flex bits of it, it is quite a nice flex. I have to say though that if you want to use it as a flex pen, and you want to really see the difference, you want to go big. Because if you use it for like just small bits of writing, the flex sort of disappears. It is coming from an EF, so the site says that it's coming from an extra fine to a double broad, and I can definitely see that when I don't flex it at all. It has a very, very fine line. Let me see if I wrote that down here. It's supposed to be 0.3 millimeter line width if you don't flex it, and 1.6 if you flex it. Okay, so I just checked my lovely little record book for that. Okay, this no flex at all, and this with some flex. I think it's quite nice. Oh, this one is with the tiniest bit of flex in the downstroke. When it's small, as you can see, it doesn't really work well. So here I sort of gave up doing that. Okay, so that's how it looks for longer bits of writing. Because what I do with my little personal encyclopedia, I would say, I try to use the same pen for when I write about it. And so as you can see, it's really nice for long bits of writing. This is with flex, because without flex, this is how it looks. So when I wrote this long bit, I did put some pressure in the downstrokes. Okay, and look at that ink. Isn't the ink so pretty? It's sort of like shades too. There's some shading happening. Oh yes, and of course I wrote a note to myself, do not lend this out. It has quite a responsive nib. I don't know, do you lend your fountain pens out? Because I often do, because I want to share that experience. But this particular pen, I think I'm not going to do that, because it feels just a bit too responsive. to just lend it out. And it's quite expensive for me and my budget, and so definitely not willing to ruin it in any way. Okay, if you're wondering how the 0.3 and the 1.6 look, this is me trying to like flex it as much as I could comfortably, because of course I didn't want to over flex it and then separate the tines. That would not be a good idea. Okay, so that's how it looks. So what we're gonna do now is we just want to experience the nib. I want to show you a writing sample, nothing really fancy. Okay, let's get this out so you see. I am going to compare the experience with one of my more expensive flex nibs, which is my A to Z, and it's a custom grind, just so you know, and just so you sort of what's this, you understand the experience. Okay, so here we go. Let me just show it for you. It's a very, very nice pen. It's so beautiful. Oops, it's so beautiful. Let me just scoot you in. Okay. Okay, what are we gonna write? Let's go ahead and check something. I usually have something here that I use for writing, so let's see. Here, this is a nice one. Okay, let's try this. So first, no flex at all, it's just gliding over the paper. So it is a wonderful writer. Glides really nice on the paper. Okay. Very pretty. And then, okay, let's just continue without flexing it. Okay, now let's go and flex it. I have to say the snapback is good. Okay. But it doesn't really go to a very thin line immediately. I mean, you see the line variation, but yeah, like I said, it doesn't snap back to a thin line quickly. Okay. Okay, let me just continue. Okay. Where was I? Okay. What I really like about flex nibs is how it allows me to sort of take things slow. And I am not a person who does that easily, so this is good. So you see, right, there is definitely line variation, definitely a thicker line width. Okay, so let's change, just so you see the difference. So this other one that I'm sharing actually has a Jovo 14K. And it has been customized so that it becomes a super sweet flex nib. Let's do without any pressure. And I need to say also that it's hard to not put any pressure on this one because the lightest touch actually creates line variation already. Okay. But then you have to remember too that it does that because it has been customized, so it's not like a mass produced nib. Okay, now I'm going to put in some pressure because it has been, now it's some pressure. So you can see the snapback on this one is a bit more quick. Okay, let's just finish this up. And I just want to let you know, when I say I put pressure, it's not even a lot of pressure at all. It's like almost the slightest pressure, because I also feel like it's such a soft nib. It's quite nice. Okay, so let's just have a look at the two nibs in case you're interested in how they look side by side. I like having these two flex nibs. They both create very different feels to the page. So this is definitely a narrower one, and the tines are narrower than this. Okay, this also has an ebonite feed, by the way. This one does not, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it doesn't say much, so I think it's a plastic nib. This is how it looks. And yeah. So both are quite pretty. Both are quite nice to use. Both are beautiful nibs. This one has an easier transition between the fine, the extra fine, and the thicker lines. This one not as quick and not as drastic when you look at this, right? But there is, see, there is some, you just have to like practice with it, which is what I've been trying to do for the past week. All right, so I hope this has been helpful if you've been looking at getting yourself a Montblanc Flex nib and you decide to get yourself the 18K one, which is what's housed in the Burgundy. The other one, the resin black one, is I think it has a 14K Flex nib. So if you're getting the 18K one with this is how it looks. This is how it compares with a customized Flex grind. I happen to not have another Flex nib available that is more mass produced, but just to give you an idea of how well it performs, I think on my Instagram page I'm going to go ahead and do a bit more different comparisons with other Flex nibs. If you haven't followed me there, please remember to follow me there. And I do have a few other Flex nib comparison videos. I'll put a link up there, and I'll put a link at the description below in case you're interested in that as well. Okay, so thank you for joining me today as I share this new beautiful pen with you. It is such a beautiful pen. I'm like, I can't stop looking at it sometimes. It's currently in my weekly rotation of pens. It's one of my Flex nibs. I am pairing it up with a few other Montblancs with interesting nibs and a few more golds and reds actually. So this week, this is what I had, my lovely Montblanc with the EF. That's this one, my double broad, and for work, which, you know, where I need to use a green ink, I have my Kaveco. So this is how my week has looked like. I think I will continue with this set next week as well. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. This is Kai from Kikai Crafts. I do hope to have more mental energy to share more videos with you, because I do have a lot of pen experiences that I want to share with everyone who is starting this journey and the intermediate bit of their journey, so that you have a feel and you can make better decisions as you explore the fountain pen world. This March, I'll be going to the Manila Pen Show, and I'm very, very excited to go to that one. I've already been thinking about which inks to get, which pens to get, and definitely I'll be bringing some of my vintage pens to be checked and to be restored, and that is exciting me a lot. And I do hope to come back after that with a lot more experiences to share with everyone. So if you're going there, please come and say hi. I'd really love to say hi to other people in the fountain pen community who joins me here in the channel. Okay, so this is Kai from Kikai Craft. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a great day or a lovely evening. Bye everyone.